Hi everyone, Happy New Year! In today's video, I am gonna talk about the reviews for Got Close Ikki and also Pope Shion, because those are kind of the knights I haven't covered yet. But one important piece of admin news up front, which is I know it has been a really long time since I made Seiya Legend of Justice video. For a couple of reasons. I mean, one reason is I am playing other games, which have been very enjoyable, to be honest. If you have seen it on my channel, give them a go. Maybe you will like them as well. But second reason is kind of the game has just been really stale. There's not too much new contents. All of the new contents in recent months have always been just a new night. Otherwise, I think the last real content we have gotten in the game is probably like the statue and the Wheel of Fate, etc. And all of those kind of require you to pay actual diamonds or even sometimes like actual money in order to progress fast. So I don't really want to motivate that aspect of the game either because it's kind of just like commercial side. I think they're just like pushing for financials, try to get some money, etc. Which is fair enough, but I don't really want to promote that. And then the third aspect is it normally takes me quite a while for me to actually release these videos because obviously, for example, let's take a new knight. I have to look through all his skills. I may have to do some testing, and then to obviously actually record the videos. It may take me like I don't know an hour or two to just make one video. Maybe I'm a bit slow on that side, but does take me a long time. And I only getting a handful of views and hardly any new subscribers or likes, etc. It's just not very motivating or worth my time, to be honest. If I have to spend 50 minutes to create a video and only end up getting 50 new views and zero likes, zero subscribes, it just doesn't really make sense. So that's kind of why it also being partially the reason why I'm not very motivated to make new videos on Sensei Legend of Justice. Now, I do understand this is I'm probably like the only English content creator for it, and even though the community is small, there is still like a small community, even if it's just 10 or 20 people. So I do still want to look out for you guys. So the decision I have been taking is that going forward, I will be making less videos on YouTube, but I will be slowly shifting all of my content to Discord instead. So for example, anything which it's new in the game, but I personally don't find it exciting. For example, maybe like new nights or things like that. Then what I will do is probably just post it in my Discord group rather than spending lots of time to actually create it. But if there is something really exciting coming up, like for example a new game mode or something like that, then yeah, I'll probably still make the videos and maybe like a tier list every 1 or 2 months or something like that, right? So please do still keep subscribed on my channel, etc. Because maybe every now and then I'll still release one important video. And if I do release a video on YouTube, it will be an important one because for all of those usual, standard ones, they will be on my Discord going forward. So on that note, if you haven't joined my Discord either, please check out the link in the description below. That's the link to my Discord group. Join it. There is a handful of us, not a huge Discord group, but there's still a few of us, like probably just under 100 now, I want to say. And we do help each other out every now and then. So, yeah, do join us over there, and I will be slowly making that transition from YouTube to Discord. Okay, so that's kind of the admin piece out of the way. Now, in terms of the agenda for the video today, I will be kind of talking through the new nights that have been released during the time which I haven't created any content. And like I said, it's just new nights, no other new content other than new nights. So it's going to be God Class Ikki and also Pope Shion. Now, for God Class Ikki, he's a really strong character. You guys probably already know. Like the whole community is kind of raving about it. So, briefly talk over their skills. The first one basically is an ultimate, and basically what happens is stacks Phoenix Flame for all enemies, so it's great AoE. You don't really need to care about positioning. And Phoenix Flame does have the ability to make the enemy lose Cosmo and also HP. The lose Cosmo bit is very, very important because it's essentially gives you like a speed advantage over the enemies. So that's very important. Then the second thing it's gonna do is every critical hit of this is also gonna give you one extra Phoenix Flame. So that's also very important because the more they have, it can stack up to I think 10 times. Yeah, can stack up to 10 times and also exists permanently until the Cosmo is zero. So it's actually very, very suppressive. So the more stacks you have, the more likely you're gonna get even bigger speed advantage, etc. So very strong skill. Then the second one, this is a looping skill. It's actually quite wide range, which is quite nice because it's three targets. And also, any enemy whose Cosmo is lower than Ikki go into the state where they cannot even gain Cosmo. And also, the cooldown for looping skill is suspended, which is very, very nice. The other really good thing about this is because if you do have Phoenix Flame, and I'll talk about later about how you can get more Phoenix Flame, but if they do have Phoenix Flame, very likely their Cosmo is gonna be lower, and especially because they will be dropping by 150 per second. I think. It does actually say the duration. I think it's 150 per second. Or maybe I'm making that up. But basically, if they do have the Phoenix Flame, their Cosmo is going to be lower. And if it's going to be lower, then very likely that you have higher Cosmo than them. And therefore, they will fall into the state. And if they are in the state, they can't even they can't even gain any Cosmo. And also, their looping skill is going to be suspended. So yeah, so this is very strong. Yeah, it must be, the Phoenix Flame must be dropping per second because otherwise it doesn't make sense. If they're lower, then they can't gain any Cosmo, and if as long as it's zero, the Phoenix Flame is going to stay there, and the enemy will just be there forever. So that can't be right. So this must be per second skill. Um, yeah, so that's basically the main concept behind this looping skill. Then for the third one, this is an opening skill, which is quite nice. What's going to do is when start the battle, their attack is going to be reduced to zero for 3 seconds, well, up to 5 seconds, and then gradually recover. So very similar to Hypnos, which I think Hypnos is reduced attacking speed, whereas this one is reducing attack. But either way, this is an opening protection skill. So this is why this is very nice. Then we have this one, which is a trigger skill, and I guess it's the main concept or the main mechanics for Gold Class Ikki. Basically, he will never die unless he's the last person, and whenever he is dead, he can be selected, and during that time, well, what's gonna happen is you're gonna deal damage to everyone every 1.5 seconds, and also one extra Phoenix Flame, which is absolutely insane if you think about how good is Phoenix Flame. And then at the same time, you will be recovering 20% of max HP per second. So basically, after 5 seconds, you'll recover to 100%, and once it's 100%, you'll be coming out of battle. So this is kind of why this is absolutely amazing. Then, and this can go on forever, which is kind of what's making God Close Ikki so good because he can be playable at 5 star totally. Now, there's one downside, which is every single time you will reduce the speed of recovering HP for the next one by 15%. But in honesty, it doesn't really matter because even when you are kind of recovering those HP, you are still doing damage and adding on one stack of Phoenix Flame. So it's not even like saying that you're doing absolutely nothing at the same time. So that's kind of why it's still very, very good, and I will almost ignore this downside of this skill. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for this one. Then, if we move on to the close, first one, each stack of Phoenix Flame reduce healing receive as well, so which is okay, not nothing too OP. Then the second one, when Phoenix Flame disappear due to any reason, each one will cause the target to suffer true damage and fall into the state for 0.5 seconds, in which time they can't do normal attack. So that's also quite nice. Normal attack obviously is actually doing damage, but also is a way for you to gain Cosmo. So if you actually make them not able to do normal attack, it's also effectively same as you're slowing down their Cosmo game, which is very important because that's essentially the strongest point of Phoenix Flame. So that just is basically saying that even if Phoenix Flame is dispelled, you are still gonna keep the Cosmo slowing down Cosmo point of view regardless. So that's kind of why this is very nice. Then the third one is when the Phoenix do return, on the aura. So this is, well, let me check which skill is it. Horror aura. This is the opening skill, and basically you would then get a temporary um, attack or damage immunity because all of the attack will be reduced to zero, and that is also very good. And also your attack will be permanently increased by 50%. Now I don't know whether this stacks, but if it is stacked, this is also absolutely amazing. So keep that in mind. And then when you move on to level 30, when this revive or Phoenix Flame our enemy will be absorbed, and each stack of Phoenix Flame will restore an extra 500 Cosmo. So that's also really nice because when he is actually recovering, you are adding in all those Phoenix Flame, then he'll be absorbing them and release an ultimate, which then, oh, even though you're taking away those Phoenix Flame from the enemy, but then because you're doing an ultimate, you'll be stacking the Phoenix Flame back onto them again. So almost in terms of the, actual stack of Phoenix Flame, there's not much difference, but it does allow you to do some extra damage because you'll be releasing your ultimate. So that's kind of why the you know level 30 of close is also nice. In all honesty, I think level 20 is probably the sweet spot. Because you will be able to do this opening attack over and over again. So that's really nice. Probably better than the level 31 in my opinion. So if you do upgrade his clothes, minimum level 20 is what I would recommend. From the constellation side, first one is pretty mid because you're just immune to freeze and burning, which unless you're facing up against the freeze team, otherwise you're not gonna do much. And also, I don't actually know how this plays out against Aquarius, not Aquarius Hugo, God Claws Hugo's ultimate because God Claws Hugo's ultimate ignores kind of passives, etc. I don't actually know what Constellation counts as passive and whether he will be then immune to got close Hugo's ultimate, so that is still something I need to test. And then 9 out of 9, convert all burning effect received by the enemy into Phoenix Flame. So this is actually really strong if you have a way of doing burn damage. Now, the easiest way of doing burn is using Babel, but let's be honest, he is probably not going to be played much. So outside the Babel, probably the next easiest way of adding burn damage will be either through God Close Seiya if you put a burning the flame allier onto him, because what God Close Seiya is able to do is his, I think skill 3 is able to do normal attack back to all of the enemies, and there is an allier which give a burn every single time when you do a normal attack. So basically, if you do that combo, then God Close Seiya can actually be a really good engine for you to stack up burn damage, or just burning effects. In which case, then God Close Ikki can convert it to flame. So that can be very nice if you do decide to play that way. Otherwise, there's also Leo Ikki. The only thing with Leo Ikki is I'm not sure what this is a translation say, but Leo Ikki is the special type burning that is given out by Leo Ikki is already called Phoenix Flame, and it has slightly different. It does have different game mechanics. That one doesn't reduce Cosmo, for example. I don't think so. So I don't actually know whether they are supposed to be the same thing or they're slightly different. So I have no idea what's going on there. So this is something that once again need to be tested because of the bad translations. So overall, you can probably see he's very strong. From the fact he doesn't die, he can totally be played at 5 star. If you do want to actually play him properly, so at 5 star he is absolutely amazing in PvE, etc. Because he just never die, which is like the most important thing in PvE. But if you do want to play in PvP, etc., I would recommend at least level 9 so that you can get level 20 of his clothes, so that you have that every now and then you have this opening immunity, and even if he dies because it's such a low level, it's not the end of the world because you would then coming back and then have that temporary damage immunity for your whole team. So it's actually really not bad to actually have a low level Phoenix Ikki, sorry, Leo go close Ikki in your team. Um, is it worth going all the way to 11 star for the Alliance, for the Constellation and the Alliance afterwards? Probably not, to be honest. He is a very good character. This is a bit of a tough choice. I will argue the incremental value for Goku's Ikki is not great after level 9. After 9 stars. But if he is going to be a character you'll be playing all the time, then it also kind of makes sense that you invest in him. So this is a decision you have to personally make. Make this decision in mind of what other characters you're trying to up. For example, if you already have lots of other good characters, then why not spend resources onto this? But if you're still in the process of trying to get, Hyuga or Shion or Seiya, for example, other really good characters, then I would argue maybe Go Close Ikki is slightly lower down the picking order because you need, you know, he can be played at low level whereas others cannot. So a decision for you to make personally. Okay, cool. So this is one last thing on Go Close Ikki, which is the World Fate. One with this Shaka Alaya Shaka. I'm just gonna call him Alaya Shaka. Uh, yes, good skills, but let's be honest, how many people are actually going to play that? So I'm not going to talk about it. Then the other one you have, it doesn't show here, but it shows in the Goku Seiya one is this one. This one is actually really strong. It does make you a fixed team though. You need to have all five of them on your team in order to actually use it. But it's very, very strong because every time you release a skill, you add two swiftness to all allies and can stack up to 5 times. And from the way I previously tested Power Fade, any one of them, when they release a skill, they will be able to activate it. They should at least. That's how Will Fate worked previously, even though I haven't tested specifically for this one. But normally, when anyone, like all five of them, will benefit from this effect. So if you actually think about it, you have five knights. Whenever any one of them releases a skill, you add two swiftness to everyone. And then that basically makes the next one easier and quicker to release a skill. And then you can stack up again. Very, very strong skill. Can't even be dispelled by anything like Shion Goku, for example. It can only be dispelled by force. So very, very, very strong skill. So very good there. Um, so this is Goku's Ikki. Then the next one I'm going to talk about is the Astral one, Pope Shion. Interesting character. Um, Mixed feeling about it, and I'll kind of talk about why. But consider it's an Astral Knight, definitely do get it. It's one of the slightly better one. I think definitely above average in terms of the Astral Knight. So do still get it for free if you can. Even if you have to pay money, it's not the worst thing either. So yeah. So in terms of what it does, so starting off with might. So it do some damage, true damage. So it's okay if you even if you have a low attack, so you can build it like defensively if you want. And it do it to the front row enemy. Wait, sorry. True damage equal to 350% of the front row enemy's attack. Yeah, so it's not scaling based on you. It's scaling based on the enemy, and also it reduces their defense. And also decrease the damage taken. So basically, what this allow you to do is severely weaken the front row enemies, and depending on who you have. Who does the enemy have up front? This can be very, very strong. For example, if they have someone like Seiya Goku or Poseidon up front, then this actually allow you to kill them a lot quicker, which is nice. However, if they actually have someone like Goku who wouldn't die, then the benefit of this kind of decrease slightly. So, take this with a pinch of salt, depending on whether this is really a strong skill. Then the second one, the looping skill. This is his main mechanics, which is that it creates a crystal wall to trap the enemy for 5 seconds, and during that time, reflect all of the target's attack and skills. Only 75% of damage, but that's more than enough because think about it this way: when you're trapping someone, first of all, you prevent the rest of your team taking attacks from that enemy. So one thing, you protect your entire team from one enemy. Second of all, you'll be reflecting skills back onto him. So this is almost like a universal anti any kind of knight because whoever that knight is, if you are able to reflect like offensive skill back onto him, it's not just saying you are doing something like 5 against 4. It's actually more like 6 against 4 because you are helping that enemy to kill himself as well. So this is kind of why this is actually really really strong looping skill. The only problem with this is that there's a lot of it's not RNG, but there's a bit of uncertainty in terms of timing because this only works if you are able to inflict the crystal wall before the enemy use their looping skill or use their ultimate, etc. And this is only for 5 seconds, so it really is almost like a night by night basis on whether this will actually be effective or not. Because if you release it too slow, release it after the enemy already done his looping skill, then yes, you'll be reflecting attacks, but it's just going to be normal attack. So, it's not going to be much benefit. However, if you're able to do this before their looping skill, before their ultimate, then that is actually going to be absolutely insane because you will be, preventing the biggest damage from the enemy and effectively taking them out of the battle completely. So that's kind of why this can be a very, very OP skill, only if the timing is right. Then this one, this is another looping skill, which he strengthens off the clothes. This one's quite interesting. It can be good, but basically what's saying is that all of the attribute of the clothes will be increased additionally by 20%, while the shield lasts. Well, actually, up to 40%, uh, which is absolutely great. And also, that it does provide the shield itself, um, which is also nice. It's equal to their close level multiplied by 0.5% of their max HP. So I do almost wonder whether this is their sneaky way of trying to get people not just to level 30 close, but actually level 40 close. That's my suspicion there of what they're trying to do. But yeah, anyway, this is still a very strong skill because it can increase the attribute of those clothes. It's very important to know that for all of the clothes, I think the first three stats is always going to be the same, like HP, attack, and defense. But the fourth one differs per character. Some of it can be really OP, like haste or speed, that kind of thing. Some of it are a bit less important because it may be something like hit rate or something like that. But basically, if you do want to actually play Pokemon, take a look at the rest of the teammates that you have and decide whether it's worth bringing Pokemon onto them. Because if the rest of your team is always like haste, etc., those really, really important close level, then maybe Pokemon is providing good value just through the single skill. Whereas if all of your other allies are having really bad stats from their clothes, then maybe you're bringing Potion for one of the other reasons, maybe his skill 2 instead of his skill 3, etc. So this is something you have to bear in mind with the rest of the teams, etc. Then skill 4, so this is the halo effect, which is always going to be active. Not a great fan of this. Basically what's saying is the crit rate and crit damage will be permanently reduced by 2.5% per second. So eventually as you go on, you will be doing less and less crit. Not just the enemy, but also yourself as well. It doesn't work in conjunction if you do have a single gold close, but it does work if the enemy do have a single gold close instead, because you won't be critting and therefore not triggering a single gold close shield, etc. And also it may work on some special cases of knights where they need crit in order to do some additional benefit. I think like across Hugo, for example, need crit in order to freeze, or it's more likely to crit when the enemy is frozen. I can't remember, but there are some knights which kind of have additional benefit on top of when they're actually critting, so this can work very well as a counter to them, but also counter yourself unless you have his constellation on. But I'll talk about that later. So in terms of clothes, the first one after upgrading Stardust Revolution, this is the ultimate, yeah, to the full level, the effect of reducing enemies' defense will be 75%, which is very, very strong. So, but this is only to the front row. So it kind of, once again, like I mentioned earlier, depends on who does the enemy actually have front row. If the enemy have, for example, gold close Ikki, then this effectively loses half of its value straight away. So yeah. Then the second one, when Crystal Water full level, damage reflected is up to 100%, which is nice. But to be honest, you're mostly using Crystal Wall for the fact of reflecting skills rather than reflecting damage. But still, it's nice. Then the third one, beginning of the battle, Guard Sentry will be automatically released. This can be very, very strong. The fact that you're able to have all of those additional stats for close and also shield. This is an opening protection as well. You are getting a shield straight away at the start of the battle. So very similar to Surplus Shion and the Seiya Goku. This gives you a way of protecting yourself at the start of battle. So once again, this is another character who you can use to serve that opening protection purpose. Then the next one, the Shield of God Sentry is enhanced by 100%, and the applied shield effect can only be removed by Strong Dispel. So yeah, not a huge increase actually. I don't think the fact that it only can be dispelled by Strong Dispel. I don't even know how many people can dispel. I need to check. I think. Oh, actually, does this work against Strong Gokus then? Let me check. I don't think Strong Gokus is Strong Dispel. Yeah, I don't think this is Strong Dispel. I mean, once again, the wording is not the greatest, but I think this can work against Strong Goku. So maybe he has a special place in PvP for this reason. He's one of the few who is able to add on shields without it being removed by Sean Gokus. So that actually does increase his value by quite a bit actually. Yeah. I would probably recommend level 30 for him if you are planning to use him for PvP, which is essentially where you want to play him anyway. Then for Constellation side, you will be repairing the clothes of the ally with the lowest percentage of HP every 6 seconds, restoring HP constantly. So this almost gives him that healer role, which is nice, because he is a warrior character. But if you're able to get that healer aspect into it, then that's certainly nice benefit to add because then you free up you one extra slot for a maybe a more offensive knight, etc. Then 9 out of 9, the effect of non-aggressive principle will only be effective against the enemy. So this is nice because it will be effectively meaning you won't be debuffed by this crit rate or critical damage decrease. My only concern for this one is that in PvP, this one can be dispelled normally. This one, unlike his level 30 close, which says actually strong dispel, this one doesn't say, which means that Shongo close can actually dispel this. So this essentially means nothing in PvP. It may be the only added benefit of it is that Shongo close may be end up dispelling this all the time. So it may make some of your other buffs or debuffs able to go through Shungoku's dispel because Shungoku's will be focusing on this instead. But that's very RNG based, so I wouldn't really recommend that. And then in PvE, this wouldn't really work either because this is done per second, and in all honesty, PvE battles are really short. The enemy have so much higher attack than you that he will just kill you very quickly. So this wouldn't really stack up in PvE either. So yeah, for Constellation wise, I probably only recommend 3 out of 9.